All right, you guys, we're talking about the birth of the Northwest Territory. All right, so we're going to read this baby and follow along. And tomorrow I'm going to ask you to take some notes from this. So here we go. By the spring of 1783, the American Revolution was over. The original colonies had become states in a new country, the United States of America. What would become of the Ohio country? All right, so take a look over here. We have vocabulary, Articles of Confederation, territory, Congress, land ordinance of 1785, the Northwest Ordinance, government, legislature, constitution, rights, trial by jury, slavery, Arthur Sinclair, and the Northwest Territory. The big picture. The treaty with Great Britain gave the Ohio country to the United States. Then, leaders of the United States made plans to open the rich land west of the Appalachian Mountains for settlement. Remember, that was one of the things that the colonists didn't like that the British were doing to them. They said, you guys can't go across the Appalachian Mountains into that new land. So once the revolution was over, they were like, yeah, it's our land now. We're going to go. The opening of Ohio to settlers after the war was just a beginning. Winning the American Revolution had given Americans the freedom to govern themselves. In 1777, they developed the Articles of Confederation as a basis for setting up their own government. However, it took 4 years for all the states to approve the Articles. They couldn't agree whether the land west of the Appalachian Mountains should belong to only a few states or be a territory. A territory is an area of land that is part of a country but not yet a state. Finally, all agreed that the land belonged to our new country. The Land Ordinance of 1785. There were many ideas about what should be done with the land west of the Appalachian Mountains. After a great deal of talk, the United States Congress passed an ordinance or law. So now we know ordinance means law. That described what should happen. Congress is the branch of government that makes laws, right? We're the branch of government that makes laws. The Land Ordinance of 1785 called for the land to be surveyed. Then the land was divided into squares that were 6 miles long on each side. The squares were called townships. Ohio was the first area to be surveyed. You can see how townships were laid out in the diagram below. Each township was divided into 36 smaller squares, right, called sections. A section was a mile long on each side and was made up of 640 acres. An acre is about 43,560 square feet of land, a little smaller than a football field. At first, people had to buy at least one section or 640 acres. Each section sold for $1 an acre. How much would each section cost? $640. Only very rich people could afford that much. Later, sections were divided into halves and quarters and smaller pieces. This made it possible for most people to buy land. Land for schools. The people who wrote the Land Ordinance of 1785 knew how important it was to have schools. The law said that one section in every township must be used to support public schools. Settlers in township could rent or sell the section and use the money to build a school and pay a teacher. So there's the schoolhouse right there, right? And there's number 16 is the school. Right, that's pretty cool. The Northwest Territory. The land was measured and ready for sale by 1787. Congress then passed another law called the Northwest Ordinance. This law gave the region a name, the Northwest Territory. It also set up a plan for its government. A government is the laws and people that run a city, state, country, or a territory. The road to statehood. The government set up by the Northwest Ordinance could change as the population grew. That is because Congress planned that the Northwest Territory should one day be divided into states. To guide people of the Northwest Territory toward statehood, what did they do? Well, I'm going to tell you what they did. The Northwest Ordinance outlined a 3-step plan. The first step was to choose leaders. The U.S. Congress chose a governor, a secretary, and 3 judges to govern a territory. Arthur St. Clair became the Northwest Territory's first governor in 1788. The second step toward statehood would come after at least 5,000 white males had settled in the territory. The men then would vote to elect a legislature for the territory. A legislature is a group of people, like the United States Congress, that make laws, right? So here's the first step. The first step was to choose a governor, and they did, right? Arthur St. Clair. The second step, 5,000 white men had to settle an area, and they had to elect a legislature. And the third step would be reached after at least 60,000 people settled in a part of the territory. Then the people could write a constitution. And here's the map that you're using right now, right? And take a look. Screen capture this real quick. Right here, you guys are right now currently doing the 13 colonies right there. Maybe tomorrow we'll get into the Great Lakes and the Northwest Territory. Right here in red is the Northwest Territory. So Ohio and Indiana and Illinois and Michigan and Wisconsin were not yet states, but they were about to be. Okay. So it says, to write a constitution or rules of government and ask Congress to be admitted as a state. In 1803, Ohio became the first state from the Northwest Territory to be added to these United States of America. 4 other full states were added later. Look at the map on page 100 to find out what they were. Well, we know it was Ohio, then Indiana, then Illinois, Michigan, and then Wisconsin. Guaranteed freedoms. Settlers in the Northwest Territory had the same rights or freedoms as other citizens of the United States. They had freedom of speech, the right to worship as they pleased, and the right to a trial by jury. This is the right for a person accused of a crime to be judged by people in the community. The Northwest Ordinance also forbids slavery in the territory. Slavery is the practice of making one person the property of another. At that time, many other states and the territories allowed slavery. Why it matters. The Northwest Ordinary would continue to affect the future of our state and country. Forbidding slavery in the Northwest Territory made a big difference in the way Ohioans thought. In time, the issue of slavery divided our nation. All right, so sum it up. The Land Ordinance of 1785 set up a system for surveying and selling the land to settlers. The Northwest Ordinance set up a government for the Northwest Territory, guaranteed rights to the people, and set up a way to form states, right? That was remember there were 3 things they had to do? 3 things? Here's the think about it questions. Name 2 rights protected by the Northwest Ordinance. How did the Land Ordinance of 1785 divide up the Northwest Territory? 3. List the 3 steps to statehood given in the Northwest Ordinance. 4. Place the following events in the correct order or sequence: Northwest Ordinance, Ohio statehood, Land Ordinance of 1785, Arthur St. Clair becomes governor of the Northwest Territory. And 5. Write a paragraph telling how the Land Ordinance of 1785 encouraged education. All right, so there you have it. There is your chapter. It is called The Birth of the Northwest Territory.